All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock, everyone. Let's see. We've got two of our transit agencies here. We've heard that City Bus is going to be a little late. Um, let's see. So I guess we can go ahead and get started with introductions and then have folks introduce themselves as they join us today. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Transit Technical Advisory Committee for SCTCA today. So today in the room, it's just myself, Stephen Schmitz, Don, and Chris Cohn. So maybe we'll start with introductions here. I'm Chris Barney with SCTCA. We'll go over to Stephen.
Stephen Schmitz, Sonoma County Transit.
Chris Cohn, SCTCA.
Then we have Don as well and Zoe from Smart. We're doing introductions if you want to jump on the introductions.
Zoe Unruh from Smart.
Okay. And so online, we have quite a few people there. So maybe we can have our T-TAC members online and staff introduce themselves today. Let's start with transit agencies.
Hi, this is David Davenport from Golden Gate, filling in for Jessica.
And Jacob Brown, also from Golden Gate.
Dana Trey from, okay.
Go ahead, Dana.
Dana Trey from SCTCA.
Sean Agaz, SCTCA.
Ross Condetta, SCTCA.
Adam Garcia, SCTCA.
Steph Britt, SCTCA.
Okay. Hey, Rachel. We're doing introductions, so you just made it if you want to.
Perfect. Rachel Eid with Santa Rosa City Bus.
All right. And then Don, we have a number of attendees. Some of these we could probably promote. We have Antoinette Freeman from the City of Sonoma, Dan Bell,
Okay.
Dave Sorrell from ACE, SJRRC, David Ripperda from SCTCA, Jan Schiller, and Terry Hayes. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us today. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment on items not on the agenda. So members of the public, we have no one in the room, but if there's anyone online that would like to provide public comment, please raise your hand and we can go ahead and take those comments. All right, so not seeing any hands raised, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item on our agenda today, which is approval of the meeting notes from May 13th. So this is an action item, so we will need a motion and a second for that. I believe we do have quorum, including online attendees today. So would welcome an action on that.
I'll move to approve the minutes from May 13th.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you. All right. And Don, I think we need to do a roll call since
Yes.
we have online attendees.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through the whole list. I haven't captured all of the attendees, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I will do a full roll call.
Okay.
David Davenport,
Yes.
Jacob Brown, Jessica Sandoval, Maria is not here, Araceli Vasquez, Rachel, Edie,
Aye.
yes. Matt Wilcox, Joanne Parker, Zoe Unruh.
Aye.
Yes. Emily Betts, Stephen Schmitz.
Yes.
That is everybody.
Great. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to item 4, regional planning. So first up, we have a presentation by David Sorrell on the Gold Runner Thruway Bus Study. So, David, we'll go ahead and hand things over to you. And would you like to share your screen? Or is it just a verbal update today?
Oh no, we're going to do a full presentation.
All right, great.
Probably not all 15 minutes, but at least a sizable amount. And it's good to see everyone this morning. David Sorrell, Senior Regional Planner for the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. We oversee both ACE Commuter Rail, regional rail out in the Central Valley and Silicon Valley, but we also oversee the Gold Runner Amtrak program, which serves lots and lots of California. That includes our throughway bus system. So let's see if I can be able to share my screen and then we can get started. All right. You guys can see this, correct?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. Also on the call is Terry Hayes, who's our Connecting Services Manager. And so we've been tag teaming on this project basically for the better of the last year, in ensuring some kind of path forward to make our services not only more cost effective, but also improve access for everyone at the same time. So we'll just do a quick overview of what the Thruway bus study will entail and then what our next steps are. Long story short is that we with the SJJPA, also with the Regional Rail Commission, we're tasked with managing the operations of our Gold Runner Amtrak and our Thruway bus connecting services, serving as that connector between rail and the rest of California. Within that, one of the goals within our network is to aid and extend the reach of our Gold Runner to all types of communities, some that might not have rail service or very limited rail service. And in addition to our core service with Gold Runner, the purpose of our throughways is actually, in addition to our Gold Runner, is to connect with Capital Corridor services as well as our long distance service. So our Coast Starlight heading out toward Seattle and LA, and the Zephyr between Emeryville in Chicago. And so we're taking a look at our statewide evaluation, thinking, both in terms of regional connectivity, but also in terms of the entire statewide network. Our purpose really is to ensure that the throughway services as a whole achieve not only the preferred and convenient network for travelers connecting to and from rail, maximizing cost efficiency. So basically, farebox recovery, that's basically the other term here for the existing network, which is responsive to changes in demand, an effective business model and governance system that works best for everyone, as well as providing safe, reliable, and competitively connected service to key travel destinations for both our transit-dependent users, but also a great opportunity for short-term solutions. And so the route that we're going to talk about today with this group is, in particular, Route 7. Route 7 serves a good chunk of this state, starting from Martinez, Amtrak, in Contra Costa County, serving Vallejo, Napa, 5 stops in Sonoma County, Ukiah, Eureka, and finally ending at Cal Poly Humboldt. And we provide a total of 4 trips, 2 round trips between Martinez and Santa Rosa, Cottingtown, and 2 round trips between Martinez and Cal Poly. In recent memory, in recent dates, We have activated bus-only ticketing in relation to SB 742, had been added to all stop pairs around this route. We've taken a look at our schedule and acknowledging that our service, we do cover a lot of territory in the state. Our running time for the route point to point is 6 hours and 50 minutes with a break in Ukiah. And we've also identified that Napa and Eureka and Arcata have been very high trip generators. And when I first started here 2 years ago, the first project that we looked at is taking a look at our schedule and working with Humboldt Transit Authority to see if we can be able to align schedules with their Redwood service and their North Coast Express along Highway 101. We had to knock out some schedule coordination with them, but also ensuring that we can be able to get our drivers to our destinations, not only on time, but within federal motor coach drive time requirements. So you can only be on the road for a certain amount of time before they are mandated to take a rest. With Route 7, we look at our cost effectiveness, and the state mandates that we have to hit 100% of cost effectiveness in order for us to not so much continue running the service, but to have the service actually run. We're looking at cost effectiveness at 51%, which in public transit terms, obviously that's a great number to have, but according to the state, that's not good enough. Even though that we are the third, Route 7 is the third highest performing route in the entire network. So you look at all of our routes coming from, say, Bakersfield to LA and San Diego, look at going through across the 152 corridor with Route 40, Route 6 going through 680. Route 7 is actually very productive in terms of ridership, very high ridership, but it's because of that long journey and that almost 7-hour trip time that kind of cuts into all of those costs. And so we're going to take a look and have these discussions. It doesn't just stop here with today's presentation. This is going to be an ongoing conversation in relation to our project, which will take us through the summer and early fall, but also in terms of short-term and long-term planning. If you look to your right, we've taken a look at our 5 stops over the last year. And knowing that, there's a lot of focus on ridership in Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa, I believe, is one of the highest along our route. Then you've got Rohnert Park and Petaluma, which has strong ridership. And then you've got Healdsburg and Cloverdale. Route-wide total, 45,000 for March 25 to April 2026. We've gotten that, finally got those numbers from Amtrak and from the state. So over the course of the next couple of months, starting with this meeting, is that, how can we best improve our route? How can we make meaningful changes? We've received feedback from this group in the past surrounding, adding stops, City of Sonoma at 121 and 116 with the beautiful park and ride lot. That's one of those suggestions. But one of the things that we want to be fully aware of is, while we're doing this holistic approach, we have to take in mind of that cost effectiveness and knowing that, if we have to add a stop that does bite into our running time, we don't want to sacrifice service quality or service delivery with a lot of these stops, especially when we've had to make changes along our schedule in the past. And then I got a little bit creative in the last couple of weeks in that, can we be able to get creative long term as far as making Sonoma County, having this beneficial relationship, two-way beneficial relationship between, say, the regional operators, the local operators, and us, and generating higher ridership on both ends. And so, this is the part where we could be able to get really creative with, say, transfer agreements and things of that nature from bus to regional operator. And then, taking into account, and I live down here in San Rafael, in terms of short and long-term planning, knowing that SMART, you guys have expanded service, and also congratulations on the ballot measure. We did it. But also mascots, having that rolled out back in April, and seeing how both of those improvements are going to evolve over time. How can we, as part of the Thruway service, better integrate with everyone? And so these are some of the conversations that we would like to have, and to be able to get those, get that feedback as soon as possible. So with the timeline, I wouldn't worry too much about the deadline of July 9th, even though that we are working on this project with Dishpan to kind of come up with recommendations. This is going to be a very feverish and ongoing conversation, as I mentioned. We are intending to have a draft of our Thruway bus study with preliminary results in mid-August. We're going to the board next week just to give them an update about our findings, some of our feedback that we've already received. But throughout July and August, that's where kind of the breadth of the work and stuff that we can be able to kind of give to our consultants, so that they can be able to kind of churn out these recommendations. We'll have that available to the public in August, and also kind of make corrections and make changes from the general public and you guys. And so whether or not you take a route or service, or you have clients, you have your writers using your service to connect, the survey is online, the survey tool is online, to kind of take a look at what can work best, what would be able to be a better service, how can we be able to improve. And so that's going to be an online survey with a QR code, and I'll put the link in the chat as we go along here. But at this point, we're kind of open to ideas and questions, because this is the end of our presentation. But also, thank you for the time, and thank you for having me here today.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. Let's go ahead and open things up to questions or comments from the group.
Hi, this is Zoe. Can you clarify? I was trying to read that schedule. Is that August timeframe when you're looking to do more of your peer agency coordination? Is that correct?
Okay. Going back to the schedule, that's a good question, Zoe. Thank you. So we intend on having with the August 19th, we're going to have the draft Thruway bus study report available. So that's not going to be really, short answer is that it doesn't start and stop here. It's an ongoing conversation. So we can hold space after today's meeting to kind of talk about where SMART is in the grand scheme of things. But we intend on having more outreach throughout August. So it's really, our staff has been very proactive in terms of reaching out to regional agencies, transit agencies, in getting, a lot of feedback. And that was throughout June and the first part of July as well. So it doesn't really start or stop. It's an ongoing conversation. But we'll have that first draft, and that's going to be kind of one of those sticking points. And it's a milestone with our consultants as well. And we want to have that to the public so that they can provide that feedback.
Great. Thank you.
David, this is Rachel from Santa Rosa City Bus. Thanks so much for the presentation. Look forward to seeing the draft study. I just wanted to offer, and you may have been in touch with some of our staff at City Bus already, but as you look at that route, I think, the city continues to have an interest in having that Thruway bus stop be downtown again. I think it works fine at Coddingtown. I think that's better than some of the past stop locations we've had in Santa Rosa, but I know there's a lot of factors that go into citing that stop, but certainly if there was interest in creating a downtown stop or moving that stop downtown, the city staff would be happy to work with you folks on that. So I just wanted to offer that.
Okay, that's a very good idea and good point. Thank you, Rachel. I think we do take into account, the feasibility of traffic flow. That's one of those concepts. Safety is another one. And I think that would be interesting to see whether or not, moving that bus stop over to the transit mall would be advantageous to our service. And we'll definitely bring that back to the group. And I've made a note of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria from Petaluma Transit. I just, as previously doing outreach, I do want to say this route is very useful. It's been amazing seeing its progression, especially for our senior population who doesn't drive and has kids they want to visit. So we really want to support this. I think for Petaluma, it's just making sure we're fully aware of the schedules that you have as early as possible. That's always I think it's for everybody, so that we can coordinate. And then I'm sure my staff will not like that I'm saying this, but we do have staff that might be able to assist with some marketing if you want. Just I'm thinking about at the Petaluma station in particular, there's a lot of spots for posters and things. So if there's something you want to send off because I would love to get more Petalumian residents responding to this. And so the Copeland Transit Mall has a little area. We can send you the specs. So if there's something you want to put in there while people are waiting to take this, we're happy to offer that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Maria. I think one of the things that I've looked at, and I've been in conversations with MTC with their ongoing signage project. We're also doing one independent of that. One of the larger concerns I think that have been brought up not only to our staff, but considering I use the Petaluma station as well, is knowing when the buses are coming and, kind of moving above and beyond the QR code module, knowing that our digital divide hasn't really been closed up yet. And I think that making improvements to our bus stops is one of those concepts also that we want to bring into the fray. And if you all have, certain specifications for bus stops and things like that, we're open and definitely send that our way so that we can put that in our cache of information to share out.
And then the only other feedback I had, and this is possibly outdated because it was previously, is I know that some people had, and you might get this as feedback, issues with purchasing tickets because it is so far out of the way we do it. So, with Clipper, et cetera. And so I know that's an ongoing issue for Amtrak that I hope to see will be addressed with Route 7.
Okay. Yeah. Ticketing, I think, at least with bus only ticketing, that allows us now to actually purchase tickets a lot easier. And I think one of the concepts, with the bus stop, kind of improving our bus stops is knowing where and how you can be able to purchase those tickets, and having that information is going to be more advantageous than kind of winging it if you're a user that's never taken the service. So we do want to make that access in a lot easier in breaking down that barrier.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the group? If not, we can go ahead and move on to public comment. And we did receive one comment chatted in. So let me go ahead and read that. Then we'll see if there's anyone else, please raise your hand, and we can provide an opportunity to provide comment that way too. But we received a comment from Jan Schiller. Can you please tell us about any improvements for people with disabilities? And do you need any recommendations from the disabled community? Thank you.
I would love any comments and feedback to assist with our disabled community. I think when it comes down to whether it be bus stops or the vehicles themselves have to be lift equipped and being able to accommodate those with mobility devices. But that entire experience needs to also benefit those in the disabled community as well. So any feedback related to that would also be kind of a universal tool that we can help improve service, not only for Route 7, but for the other 12 routes that we serve in the state.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? Please raise your hand. I'd like to weigh in. All right. Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate the information. Looking forward
Thank you.
to hearing as things proceed as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we'll be in touch whether or not we'll have an update next month or in September.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next up, we have item 4.2. This is an update on the Sonoma County Transit Strategic Plan by Stephen.
Thanks, Chris. Sonoma County Transit, in partnership with the SCTCA, San Rosa City Bus, and Petaluma Transit, as you all know, has launched a comprehensive strategic transit plan designed to guide transit improvements over the next 5 years. This effort will evaluate today's transit network, engage the community, and create a roadmap for delivering a more reliable, accessible, and connected mobility system. This planning effort will happen the remainder of this year and into early 2027, with a final plan anticipated by March 2027. As part of this process, what's very important is community engagement. And what we've already initiated is a survey, and a flyer has been provided as part of the packet for this agenda. And if you use the QR code there, it'll take you to the survey and you can sign up for a possible $100 gift card. In addition to that, later this month, we will be having some summer workshops. The first one will be a virtual workshop on Tuesday, July 14th, beginning at 5:30. And then following that, the following week, we'll have in-person workshops on Tuesday, July 21st at 5:30 in Windsor at the Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center near the Smart Rail Station. On Wednesday, July 22nd at 5:30 at the La Luz Center in the Sonoma Springs area. And then on Thursday, July 23rd, beginning at 5:30 in the Sebastopol Center for the Arts, which used to be the Vets Building in downtown Sebastopol. So I just wanted to provide everyone an update on those upcoming community engagement workshops. And the plan, like I said, is anticipated, a final plan is anticipated by March 2027.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. Any comments or questions from the group?
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Looking forward to the workshops. Just a quick reminder from Don here, per SB 707, if you're a committee member on Zoom, we request that you keep your camera on during the meeting so we can count that towards quorum. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Any public comments on that item? All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next item. This is item 4.3. It's an update on the Sonoma County Disadvantaged Communities Map by Adam Garcia from SCTCA.
All right. Hello, everyone. Excited to have you here to talk about an effort that we're trying to revive with more updated information, something that really touches on a lot of our different efforts across Sonoma County, and that is the Sonoma County Disadvantaged Communities. One of the things that we've been challenged with is trying to understand really kind of from whose perspective is defining what a disadvantaged community is, what agency, through what lens. And so what we've brought to you is a work in progress, but it's got some good legs, at least for right now. You can go to the link in the agenda. I'll also just share my screen right now so we can work along. Let's see. Share. So this, if you type in or bookmark SCTCA disadvantaged communities, this will pop up. Another way to get it is in our library map resources for online maps if you just want to get the interactive map itself. But what's handy about this webpage here is that it gives at least a good start. I think there's some improvements in terms of links and other citations that we can have for source data, but gives you a list of all of the different layers that we brought together in a couple of different buckets: socioeconomic disadvantage and equity, environmental justice and health, tribal and cultural resources, and then climate and hazard exposure. And our thinking is that as we begin really embracing this full SCTCA perspective, is that we want to make sure that talking about disadvantaged communities isn't just in a silo, but is also interconnected with the surrounding environment and other related issues too. So that's why we wanted to bring in hazards. This is just a start for right now, but what we wanted to at least set the framework that gives you an opportunity to provide some feedback. So to explore the map, this should be relatively familiar. You have a legend right here that shows what layers are shown, and down here is your little guide for walking through. So one of the things that we'll need to work on maybe is just adding a little description. You have the title here that it's Cal Enviro Screen 4.0 in the 75th percentile, but other ones are a little bit more detailed in their legend. For instance, the climate priority populations. So then to navigate through, we've got them grouped here in those different categories as is listed below. So hopefully some helpful correlation there. We've tried to simplify this legend so we can get more information in there. So there's not as much detail as you'd find obviously down here further below, which will tell you what year, ideally, what version, for instance, or what scale that the data is being reported on. But for now, the legend is should be nice and easy. If you need to swap out different layers, for instance, putting the Cal Enviro screen on the top, we then see that pops to the top of the layer. And just a little trick, if you don't know already, holding down Shift and then making a box around your area will help you zoom in. So it'll help you then find and discover what layers are showing up or not. So then if we want to click everything off, we see, let's just maybe look at where we have tribal lands. And for right now, we'll have to kind of zoom back out. This is also a work in progress. We've got some updates potentially for 2026, but this is our internal tracking of where tribal lands are. And then this is the federal recognized tribal lands based off the Cal Enviro screen. So there's a couple other definitions out there, which we'll try to add as well. Let's see. So I think part of what feedback we're looking for right now is if there's any corrections, but also other potentially relevant layers that fall under the category of disadvantaged communities. We've talked, I think we've received some other feedback around including planning area boundaries related to cities. So we're still trying to not make this the kitchen sink, but stay within the bounds of disadvantaged communities. But as I said, things that are parallel to that. So thinking about different grant opportunities that pop up as you need to define where areas are considered disadvantaged or other functionalities that you might have seen or would like to have for this map. All of that kind of falls under the feedback we're looking for. So I think I'll stop there and see, if folks have anything to add or provide feedback on.
Thanks, Adam. And there is a link to this map in the agenda, so encourage everyone to take a look at that. But now let's go ahead and open things up to the group.
Hi, this is Zoe. This is great. I think, one of the things, that is a challenge is many of these grant programs require us to, kind of qualify under a specific definition. And so I appreciate that you're trying to not make this the kitchen sink, but I think to be able to tell a nuanced story, a tool like this is very helpful, to be able to compare and contrast those layers, as they relate. So we're not just, even though required in some cases just to speak to, for example, the Callan virus screen stats, we can provide more and more nuanced response as we kind of try to compete on behalf of Sonoma County in these other funding opportunities. So with that, do you have, I don't see here, an income alone, filter? Is there just, can you just isolate to income?
There is a median income layer here. We can drag it all up here.
And is that median income or is that falling under the poverty designations?
Let's see. Oops. So this is, I think that's, it actually has this one particular definition, a median household income, less than 80% statewide, which is just one tract. But then there's also the range, at least for 2022. So if you are to click on an area, let's see, would that give you the number? Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now in terms of providing data. But if there's suggestions, especially to your comment of trying to just be able to show, that nuanced, layered story, yeah, let us know if we can update anything. I think 2023 ACS is out, for instance, so we can try to get the latest data out at the very least.
Yeah, we might have some other criteria we've used in grant applications, so I'll make sure to relay that to you.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to have our team take a look as well, and just see if there's any other comments we have. But I just want to say that I really appreciate this work because I think sometimes a time killer when you're looking at different, especially grant opportunities, is you have to go to Callan virus screen and then you go to MTC and you're you're toggling between all the different agencies that are creating layers for different, population categories. And so it's really helpful to be able to see it all in one place and toggle between. And like Zoe said, sometimes one layer will tell you something and another layer augments that in a helpful way, especially for, I think, our county. So really appreciate the effort on this. I think it's going to be a very helpful tool.
Thank you for that feedback. And I think something else that is just helpful to hear also is, as you're using it, if there is particular details that are missing, I mean, I think that's where we'd like to have the link to the source data so you can, draw back there. But if there's other quick stats that you want to know, I know sometimes something came up for that one particular census tract, for instance, that's beneath the 80%, or the Callan virus screen that's over 70 in the 75th percent, for instance, a little note or something like that that's helpful in this description area, we can, add something to that if it's a good reference point for any of those grant processes.
Maria here from Petaluma, just really appreciative. With a smaller staff, always it's nice to have some tools that SCTCA is looking at, and it really does assist our process. So I'm going to have our analyst look at it to give any feedback, as she's our expert. But it's really great work. Thank you.
All right. Any last comments from the committee? If not, we can move on to public comment. And we do have one chatted in comment from Jan Schiller asking, can this wonderful map be seen on a smartphone?
I believe it can. I'll have to make sure that it's can test it out right now, but I would, yeah, I would say give it a shot. I think it should. If it doesn't, I'll find out and I'll make sure that it's enabled. But I believe we were making sure to have that option.
Thanks, Adam.
Yep.
All right. Any other public comments? Please raise your hand. You do have any. All right. Thanks, Adam. And yeah, please reach out to Adam with any additional comments, questions. Get that continue to be dialed in. So next we're moving on to our regional funding section. We have a number of items from Shauna. So let's start with item 5.1, Measure M, Go Sonoma, and STIP exchange funds for fiscal year 26-27. This is the Citizens Advisory Committee presentation schedule. So go ahead and hand it over to you, Shauna, for that.
Thanks, Chris. This is just an informational item just to make sure that the committee is aware of the presentation schedule for the measure projects and for the other resources or funding sources that Chris mentioned. We present to the Citizens Advisory Committee to make sure that they're informed of the progress that we're making on all of those projects with those funding sources. Particularly, those are the measure projects, and because the transit operators receive measure funding, we group all the transit operators into one presentation in September. So just wanted to make sure that everybody has that on their schedule. And we pretty much dedicate most of the meeting in September to the transit operators because we want all three transit operators to present and to provide. The committee always has a lot of questions and comments, so we try to provide as much time as possible. I don't know if the version that was included in your agenda packet has the red, but it was slightly revised from the presentation schedule that was provided to the TAC. So that's why those items are in red. That concludes that item unless there are questions about the presentation schedule.
Shauna, any questions? Not seeing any. Let's go to public comment on that item. Not seeing any public comment. Let's go ahead and move on to item 5.2.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead, Shauna. This is measure invoicing and reporting letter reminder.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Also included in your agenda packet is a template of a letter that all of the Measure M and Go Sonoma recipients should have received from me. It's just a reminder about the end of the fiscal year, when invoicing is due, and then your first reminder that the annual reporting cycle is beginning, and we would like to see your annual reporting letters in to us by September 15th.
Great. Thanks, Shauna. Any comments or questions from the committee? Any public comment on that item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item 5.3, which is the SCTCA Funding Program Cycle 2 Development Schedule. Shauna.
Thank you, Chris. So there is a staff report in your agenda packet, but I have a quick PowerPoint, just a few slides. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let's see. And then hopefully this works. Oh, no, it always does that to me. You're probably not seeing the one that I want you to see, huh? Nope. All right.
We don't see anything yet, Shauna.
Oh, you don't see anything yet. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's get out of that then. All right. right, I'm going to try this one and then say share and then try this.
We see your desktop.
There it is.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. It's always a challenge with the 3 screens. I can never manage it. Okay. So this is just a update for your information. Hopefully all of you have been following along, but the SCTCA funding program is sort of whipping up into a frenzy right now, and we are getting ready to release our recommendations. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are with the schedule. So just as a reminder, we released the call for projects in June of last year, and all of the cities and the transit operators were allowed to submit their highest priorities to us. And the projects that were submitted were required to be in the CTP update. And the funding awards are being announced depending on the funding source between fall of last year and spring of next year. Let's move that so you don't see that. And then we say the funding sources that we're considering are federal, state, and local funds totaling about $73 million. And that's important when we get to the next slide, which is we received 72 applications for a total of almost $800 million. So we have our work cut out for us to figure out which projects we're going to fund. And you'll all remember, most of you went through this process, that we used evaluation criteria that were developed and then approved by the board. And it covered a lot of different topics, including equity priority communities, mode shift, safety, project readiness, and so forth. And we had a total of 200 points on every application. So we are through the team evaluations. We had 7 teams of 3 people each do the evaluations, and they included SCTCA staff and outside agency staff. So thank you to everyone who participated. It was great to have a lot of different perspectives as we went through and evaluated each one of the projects. Each one of the applications required a consensus score, which meant that the team had to agree on the score. It had to be unanimous. So we feel confident to stand behind the scores that were given. So those team evaluations are complete, and we have, based on those scores and other factors, requested information from some of the applicants that we think are eligible for the One Bay Area Grant Cycle 4 funding. And we have been reviewing and analyzing the scores on those projects. And we have also received, as of Monday, the additional information from the applicants that we feel are eligible for OBAG. So that brings us to this informational item that we're providing to the Transit TAC today. And then we are hoping that our staff recommendations are going to be released on the 13th, which is next Monday. And then we will open up our public survey on our staff recommendations and initiate our tribal consultation. And that will occur during that same time period that we are conducting our survey. And then we will bring our draft recommendations to the TAC also this month. And then, just as an informational item, it should go to and it should also go to the CBPAC this month. And then we will be asking for action in August. So that will go to the PAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, the Citizens Advisory Committee, all next month. It will come back to this committee for action in early September, and it will go to the Climate Action Committee also. And then on the 14th of September, it will go to the board for final action of approving our recommendations. That means that we are then able to submit the applications to MTC for the One Bay Area Grant Cycle 4. And so then MTC will review and decide which of those applications will receive funding. And that deadline to submit to them is in October, the end of October. And they will do their evaluations, and then there will be draft recommendations released, I believe, in December, and then the commission will take action on that in January of 27. And then once we have that final action and we know which projects are receiving funding, then we can finalize our whole program and we will take the staff report and final recommendations to the board in February. And that is the end of my presentation, so I will stop sharing, and then I'll be happy to take any questions.
All right, thanks, Shauna. So information coming out on Monday, and then action by this group in September. So
yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's open it up to the T-TAC members for comments, questions. Yep. Great. So
thank you.
Watch your emails on Monday. Any public comment on this item? All right. Thanks, Shauna. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you all.
All right. Our next item is item 5.4. This is our quarterly status report for TDA 3 and TFCA. We have Margot down for this. I don't see her online. David or Shauna, any comments on this or just information in the packet?
It's just information in the packet. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, David. Any questions on that? Not seeing any in the room. Any public comment? None on that. So thank you for that information. So this will bring us to item 6, our transit integration updates. So Dana, can I turn this over to you to lead?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. So most of what we've been focusing on is the Sync Sonoma Transit project, which we kicked off last month. And we had a really great project planning workshop, and have our consultants have done a data request that was sent out last week. So working on collecting data. We are collecting a whole host of data from the local bus operators, and have asked our regional operators as well as local agencies for data for the financial analysis task. If there are any questions about those, please feel free to reach out to me. That data is requested by next Wednesday, July 15th. Those are my updates, but I would like to ask the local bus operators if they have anything to add on to the local transit integration updates.
I'll just add that from Petaluma that it was a great first meeting with all of us here. I felt it was really productive right out the gate, and I think that's worth celebrating. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions on that? We'll go ahead and open that up for public comment. Not seeing any public comments on that item. We'll go ahead and go to our regional meetings report out. Anyone have anything?
I usually report on R&M, but I don't think there's been a meeting since we met last. There's one coming up in a couple weeks, or maybe a week. Might be a week from Monday. So I'll report out at the next T-TAC.
Sounds good. Looks like it's been kind of quiet at the regional level right now. All right. We'll go ahead and take public comments on that item. Not seeing any. We'll go ahead and move to our transit operator updates. So, anyone want to go first?
Well, I'm going to go first.
Okay. Thanks, Zoe.
Yeah, well, we've been busy at SMART. I don't think we haven't met since the success of the measure, which I think was, really a vote of confidence from the community as it relates to transit and people valuing transit here. And I think that is important for SMART and all of us in the room. So very encouraged by that outcome. We have we took to our board on June the request to get board direction on engaging the public on a possible Geyserville station. This was something that was initially precluded in SMART's enabling legislation. That language was struck by AB 904 or SB 904, excuse me, that Senator Dodd authored in 2024. And a Geyserville station was included in our strategic plan. Given where we are, this was kind of the right time to engage the public as we move forward, because obviously building a station in as we go north rather than coming back later to do it once we get all the way to Cloverdale is not ideal. So our board approved that, and we have been conducting meetings. We've attended meetings in Geyserville at the end of June, and we'll be hosting an open house in Geyserville on August 10th. And we'll be, based on that feedback, coming back to our board to make a decision about adopting it into the program. But of course, adding a project into your program is complicated. So we'll be also working with MTC to get it into the RTP if that is the path forward. And then lastly, we had a really great month of ridership. We were just shy of 150,000 riders for the month of June. And one of the things we've been observing as we've been looking at preliminary mascots information is just, we're limited with our Clipper data right now, but we are seeing an increase in transfers. We were just looking at transfer data between Marin Transit, Golden Gate Bus, and Golden Gate Ferry, and those have increased. And I think, we've heard, of course, not all those transfers are perfect, but I think a lot of them are working better, and we've timed them more effectively in a lot of cases. So people are responding.
Exciting.
I'm going to ask. So we're excited to report that we have 6 of 7 new Gillig buses that have been delivered. So those are our first 40-foot electric vehicles or buses in the fleet. And we have about half of our charging stations commissioned and usable now. So, and then probably the other half in the next week or so. So that's very exciting. And then I don't know if it was reported previously, but we got a new real-time system, GMV, and we have all the APCs up and running now, finally, the automated passenger counters. And we've been working with a company called UTA, and I always want to say they're the Utah Transit Authority, but I know they're not. Which helps refine the data, and it's been really, really helpful, really useful. We haven't had that kind of data ever, so we were all thrilled, and that's going to really help with our strategic plan and service planning moving forward.
We just keep going around. Yeah. All right. Well, a couple updates for City Bus on we're kicking off early our short range transit plan update just because the MTC timeline keeps getting pushed out, and for operational reasons as well as mascots reasons, we just need to move forward. So we are kicking that off with a study session at the City Council on July 28th. And so that's just to go over our proposed approach to the update, really focusing at this point on the service plan. The other pieces will come in later. And also connecting that with our finances, obviously. So we're going to be discussing with council some of the major goals of this update. And, I think I've already discussed these here, but a major one is around on-time performance. We've just really seen routes get tighter and tighter over the last couple of years, and it's been harder to stay on time. So there's some retiming of the system that needs to happen. Of course, we all know that comes at a cost, which is part of the challenge here. And then a big part of it is also around connectivity to SMART and supporting the mascots plan. And so we're looking at a number of scenarios around interlines that increase the number of one-seat rides to the SMART stations in our system. So really excited about it. It's not going to be easy. There will be some trade-offs for the council and the public to look at just because of the constraints on our finances, but it's exciting. So we're looking forward to that. I also wanted to note, we have our new flyers, our 6 electric new flyers almost on the road, but I wanted to give a shout out to Golden Gate Transit because of the temporary increase in our fleet size, because we haven't yet retired the buses the electrics are replacing. We needed 4 more fare boxes, and Golden Gate Transit sold us 4 old fare boxes for a very favorable friends and family rate. And so we're super appreciative of that, because we were in a little bit of a pickle, and it could have been a kind of expensive pickle or caused us to prematurely have to pull other buses off the road. So they helped us out of the pickle. So thanks, guys. There was one other thing I just jotted down I wanted to mention, which is escaping me, but if it pops back into my head as we go around, maybe I'll circle back. Thanks.
Awesome. Marina Petaluma Transit, and I always love to see any kind of integrated work, even if it's just big borrowing and stealing from our other transit partners. So this is the way we get it done. Updates for us is, I will say I'm appreciative of the support as a new transit manager in this role. It takes a lot to transition into a new team. And so my fellow bus operators have been answering every call, as well as SCTCA. And I've been getting suggestions from other transit managers. So it's great. A few updates from us. August 10th, as you know, we'll be releasing a new schedule that will result in about 28% service reduction in terms of our fixed route and paratransit service. Nothing that anyone ever really wants to do. It will mean that our Monday through Friday service will be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And that'll be our core service for fixed route and paratransit service. I am excited that with the, GoCinema funding, we're able to utilize microtransit and kind of pivot into what we're calling Access by LumaGo. And so I think this is the best use of when there's a hole in service, use your funding to meet that hole. So we'll be using the current platform. We're not going to rebrand anything except to put Access on front. And the main part of that is just to set expectation that Access is different from what our current LumaGo microtransit is, which would be more of a rider choice, I always call it a luxury service. LumaGo is 15-minute waits and great service. But at this point, what we're needing is to meet the needs of our most vulnerable when this service is cut in August. So Access will be running into the evening. It will also be running on the weekends. And so the schedule will remain the same as current LumaGo. The differences will be in the wait time, ride time, and prioritization. So where we were having something like 15 to 20-minute waits, they could be as long as an hour for somebody who's not one of our priority vulnerable populations. For those that are vulnerable, they're being contacted this month, and that would be folks who participate in our ADA paratransit program. They will have the option to pre-book into microtransit, which isn't currently available under our LumaGo. So it's going to be an opportunity for us as an agency also to see what commingling microtransit and paratransit looks like. So it's an exciting opportunity for us. In that same vein, we're also trying to do a lot of the updates that my fellow transit agencies are doing, and we're doing the best, which is we are working with GMV to hopefully utilize UTA in a roundabout way to make sure our APC data is also in line. We're meeting with SRJC, actually, I think next week, because we're really looking at January at this point now. So we know what August will be, but our vision's on January of seeing some improvements. So what we anticipate is in August, it will be this reduction, and then between August and October, we'll be working to make sure our January schedule meets some of the needs I think that City Bus is aiming to do as well, which is improve our on-time performance, improve our transfers and accessibility to the smart station, and our connectivity to Sonoma County Transit. Those are the priorities of our January schedule. So we don't anticipate seeing more service in January, just a fine tuning of service so the experience is better for our passengers. We'll be doing some outreach events as well in August and September, not only with the JC, but with Cafe Puente, rebuilding some of our more vulnerable stakeholders, so we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of our population. So that's a little bit of us. Additionally, we just received 5 electric vans, Model 1 Ford electric transit vans that will be operating this service accessed by Lumigo. We won't be rebranding them fully because no one's got money for that, and there's no need. We know what it'll be. People will understand. What's nice about a microtransit app, it tells you the vehicle number. You don't need it to be big and green for people to notice it, though you'll still see our big green vehicles out there. We're excited though to get those into revenue service in hopefully a month. All right, that's it for me.
Did think of the one thing if I can pop back over here. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to make folks aware, and this is particularly for the operators that serve the transit mall. As soon as August, but possibly a little later into the fall, we're going to be kicking off a reconstruction of our customer service kiosk that's built into the side of the parking garage. And that shouldn't disrupt any of the actual operations for vehicles in the transit mall, but it will mean that we will need to pull the customer service staff out of the kiosk and probably back over to the City Hall Annex where we were when we rebuilt the road bed a couple years ago. So we have a plan. We'll keep you all posted on when that project will begin, but it will be hopefully sometime in the next couple months. I think we're opening bids next week.
All right, thank you. Any updates from our T-TAC members online?
Hi, everyone. Let's see. We're almost 3 months into, let's see, May, June, July. Actually, almost, was it 4 months now? 3 months? I can't keep track of time. Since mascots started, things have been going well for us. We will be implementing schedule changes in September to account for travel time differences on the freeway that have occurred over the past few months. We are also going to reinstitute Route 172X with 2 trips per direction. As part of the service change in September, we will be operating a reduced Friday schedule on our commute routes. So on Fridays, for the Sonoma County portion of our service, there will be 2 fewer trips per direction. So right now we have 9 trips per direction. We're adding 2. So that's 11 trips per direction Monday through Thursday, but we will still have 9 trips per direction on Fridays from Sonoma County into San Francisco. We had a fare change on July 1st. The baseline adult fare went up 25 cents each, with all of the discount fares adjusted accordingly. Seems like it worked out this year. There was no Clipper meltdown related to the fare change. The other Clipper meltdowns are not fare change related. We continue to struggle with Clipper providing us with accurate data for our ridership reporting. So that's mixed in right in the middle of a database transition for us. So we are still trying to make heads or tails out of all of our numbers. But from what we can tell, Mascots has gone well for us in terms of rider uptake and satisfaction, with the exception of the 172X issue, of course. I think that's most of what I have in my notes here for us at the moment.
Was there a question from the group? No. All right, thanks, David.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other comments from the group? T-TAC report outs? If not, we can move to public comment. We do have a chatted in question from Jan Schiller. Is there a phone number or website that people with disabilities can contact to find out about changes for the disabled or vulnerable community? I think this came in during the Petaluma.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question just to make sure I answer all of it?
Yeah, she's just looking for a phone number or website people with disabilities can use to contact to find out changes for disabled or vulnerable populations.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We actually have a website set up, a landing page dedicated to it, just looking it up. But I know it's off our Petaluma Transit website, which we're currently changing. So I promise Dana it's coming. Let's see. And so it's transit.cityofpetaluma.net. And if you go to latest updates, but I'll also provide the phone number here because it is a line we've set up for feedback and questions regarding the schedule change. 707-615-6211. Once again, 707-615-6211. Though we'll be doing a direct mail piece to those who are registered paratransit users and updating our phone service so that you'll have a tree option to call in and ask specific questions if you're part of that vulnerable population or anybody that we can assist with these schedule changes. So great question. Thank you.
And just one more clarifying question on that, Maria. Just clarifying if the vulnerable,
quote unquote,
if it includes people with disabilities as well.
Yeah. So currently what we're in the working progress of who will give this opportunity to pre-book. We know right now it'll be anyone who is already eligible for ADA transportation through the paratransit application program. And so we're fortunate we have a database, not only of our paratransit clients, but those who also reside in other areas that will automatically get that option. So we'll be checking RED database for those in the room that kind of know what that means for us, to see if they qualify. And this will allow for the most seamless example for them. So there's nothing that they need to reapply to. They'll automatically kind of be put into the system as somebody who gets those pre-booking options. If you're outside of that paratransit ADA, you give us a call and we'll figure out what's the best way to get you the services you need.
Thanks, Maria. All right. Any other public comments on that item? Not seeing any. We'll go ahead and go to item 9, other business comments or announcements. Looking around the room, we've already had a lot of announcements. Any announcements, comments, other business online? If not, our next SCTCA Board of Directors meetings August 10th, and the next T-TAC meeting is August 12th. So everyone have a great July. We'll do one last call for public comments. Not seeing any on. With that, we'll adjourn.
Great, you did it.